The following program is a Creative Magic Network production. Alrighty, hello everybody. Come on in, sit down, relax, put your earbuds on. This is the Frederick Bai Show. Yes, you made it. This radio podcast is about unleashing your creativity. We talk to experts. We step into the unknown. It is a magical, inspirational, intuitional radio podcast as we chat with charismatic enigmas from around the globe. That's right. Musicians, singers, authors, radio hosts, business people, everything in between. I am Frederick Bai, the Tower of Power, too sweet to be sour, funky like a monkey. Hey, in this place, sky is the limit and space is the place. I am your favorite French Canucker. And today, let me ask you this, people. Do you live an inspired life? Do you live an enlightened life? Have you ever had a coach? Do you read books? If you listen to this show, you do read books and you're into personal growth and you're into spiritual enlightening. To live an inspired life, in creative life, you have to be spiritually enlightened, in my opinion. So today we have a fascinating guest. It's an important guest. Her name is Nina Bingham. She's a life coach. She's the author of several books, including her latest, which she co-wrote with 21 other women. The title is I Bared My Chest. She's also an hypnotherapist, a psychologist, a counselor, and you can find her at ninabingham.blogspot.ca. Bingham is Bingham.blogspot.ca. Welcome to the show, Nina.
Hi, Fred. Thank you so much. I'm excited to be here.
We're excited to have you here. Do you hear the crowd, by the way? Do you hear the crowd noise? You didn't hear it, huh?
No. Should I hear a big crowd?
No.
I don't hear a crowd.
Okay, well, you're here in the recording. I'm playing with the sound effects. Anyway.
Oh, I haven't heard it yet.
Okay, no, it's okay. So talk to us a little bit about, you're doing a lot of things right now. You're doing a lot of, you're an author, you're a coach, as I said, and you have a deep story, you have a hard story. Let's start from the beginning. Mm-hmm. Give us an idea here of your background a little bit.
Okay. Well, as you said, I'm an author. I've authored 5 books, and I'm writing my 6th. That's mainly what I'm doing right now. And I'm a life coach and a clinical hypnotherapist, and I've had a private practice in Oregon in the U.S. for 14 years. I've got a couple of degrees in psychology and a master's education in health counseling. I'm in my 50s. I live currently in the state of Washington with my partner and my dog, but I'll be traveling to the Southwest shortly in a travel trailer that we're renovating right now. So my life is in a travel trailer. It's 26 feet. So, man, that's really been a challenge. But it's been fun, too.
Mm-hmm. And, so, like I said, you're writing a lot of things. Were you a writer growing up?
I started writing in 4th grade. That's really when I caught the bug for writing. And, of course, it was a teacher, that decided to read some of my stories to my 4th grade class. And that's actually, and when I saw their faces and then they were so surprised that I'd written it, it was just like immediately I caught that writing bug. So I've really been writing, sort of rogue all along because the only writing classes I've ever had were just a few in college. So I'm really, truly, I'm an unschooled writer. I was educated to be a counselor. Mm-hmm. But love it, but it's become my passion. It's what I love. Mm-hmm. And so I recently closed my practice and announced my semi-retirement. And I say semi because, I'm a professional writer, and I think writers work as much as most full-time employees to make their books a success. Mm-hmm. So I don't really think I'll ever truly retire. Writing is my passion.
Because I read on your Facebook recently that you actually were retired. That you were you meant from a regular job, right?
Yes,
from the practice you were having. Okay.
Yes.
All right.
And which leads me to what I'm here to talk about today, which is that new women's anthology called I Bared My Chest, and I'm really excited to be part of that.
Yeah. Let's dive into it. okay, 21 women, a lot of, famous women. Y'all are, it's really about empowering women, basically. And it's about being authentic. And you talk about family and romance and money. And I like this little quote that I read from you. Sex is like pizza. Really? What do you mean? And how did that book come about?
Well, what they did. Well, first off, let me rewind and tell the listeners that the people who are putting this book together are two really fantastic radio personalities. They themselves are authors, and that's Alex Okoroji. She's a Nigerian actress and author and radio personality who you know, and then also Frankie Picasso, who's a life coach and a radio show host and author. And so they had this idea to get 21 women who they felt were inspiring and had really come back, were comeback queens, had really come back from the brink of destruction in their lives and made something good out of, difficult circumstances. And so the last time I was on Alex's radio show, she mentioned that she had this idea for this book that would feature unstoppable women who turned their lives around, women who she felt inspired by. And I was actually a little taken back because I don't think of myself as sort of a kick butt and take names kind of gal. I just see myself kind of as an author and a counselor because I lead really an obscure, quiet life. I'm almost a recluse. But
you're opinionated though. So. You're opinionated though, because I see your post about Donald Trump, and and but you say you live a recluse life, but you also opinionated, and that's good and that's cool.
Oh, I am, and I think so. My story in a nutshell is that in 2013, my 15-year-old daughter took her life through suicide because she'd been depressed for about 4 years, really bad depression. And she was on medication, and she had stopped taking her medication secretly, didn't tell anybody, and the doctor thinks that's what caused it. Wow. But surviving the death of my teen daughter in 2013 has definitely shown me that my own resiliency, right? Because I didn't think I could come back from it. I just didn't think, and certainly my life has never been the same. I think when you go through some kind of devastation like this, when you lose somebody like this, especially a child, something like this, such a devastating way, you just don't think you're ever going to come back or be the same person. And I can't say, Fred, that I am the same person. But I think, honestly, I'm a deeper person for it, And that's why I actually changed the name of my business after her death from a counseling business to a life coaching business, and I called it an Enlightened life coaching. Mm-hmm. And I say enlightened because for me, I think every person who has gotten to a place of self-realization, and that's really what enlightenment is about, is realizing who you are and why you're here as an individual. I think all people who get to that point of self-realization first have to get through what I would call a catharsis or a transformation. And for me, that transformation, came wrapped in her suicide. So that's why I guess Alice decided to put me in the book, is, that's my comeback story.
Yeah, I read that, and that must be something. You said you went from counseling to life coach. What is the difference? What do you do differently, or?
Well, a counselor is going to be somebody who deals with mental health issues, so depression, anxiety, personality disorders, mental illness. And then a life coach is actually somebody who I think is sort of, includes those services, but also coaches people who just want to optimize their potential, somebody who's interested in personal growth, somebody who, has their life in order but just wants to capitalize on that and expand on that and become an enlightened individual. And so those people are always seeking ways to grow. I mean, they're I call them growth monsters, and that's what I am. I'm a growth monster. I always have been. So that's the difference, I think, is that you're coaching people who are, already successful. You're just trying to maximize their success.
Mm-hmm. For the people out there who are not familiar with, spirituality and, an enlightened life, what do you mean by an enlightened life? And is it religion? Is it a set of principles? Is it nameless? What is it exactly?
Well, when I say enlightenment, I can only talk about what I know about it. And that is, I believe that a person evolves spiritually and ethically and morally to the point where they understand that what spiritual masters have been trying to tell us all along, and that is that we are all one. You've heard spiritual masters say that. And this is a state of what I call self-realization, or really self-realization, realizing who you are and why you're here is simply a heightened self-awareness. Okay, so you're aware of yourself. And then when you become more aware of yourself, you're realizing that every action you take has a consequence. For every choice we make, somebody is impacted. And so enlightenment, I think, is holding oneself accountable for the way that my decisions have affected you. Okay, and so I used to teach one principle as a life coach and emphasize this, especially when I was working with couples. I worked with a lot of couples. And that is, we may not intend to hurt anybody when we're going along, but the impact that our actions may have had is that we did. And so while our intentions may be good, sometimes our impact is negative. And so I think a large part of self-realization is just recognizing the impact that our actions have had on others. That's what it means to be self-aware. And of course, part of being self-aware is that shattering of the ego, which I was talking about, when my daughter died. That's what happened to me. The ego is constantly telling us that we're right and that our way is the best way and our way is the only way. And that's why I sort of, make a lot of posts on my social media about politics, because to me, politics is very important on a global scale. And I'd like to see more enlightenment come to our planet. So for me, enlightenment is a suppression of one's ego.
Right. You mentioned, it's all about knowing who you are. Who are you, Nina, at the core?
Yeah.
What did you discover about yourself?
I think people's identities evolve. Don't you think? I'm not the same person that I was before my daughter's death, definitely. That person is gone. I'm really different. And the weird thing, though, is that when you change so much, when you go through a life-changing circumstance like this, a lot of times people, especially family, don't let you out of your box. It's like, you want to grow, but then it's like the people around you only have this one idea of you. But I know I've certainly grown out of the self-perception that I had, that I was just sort of an academic, that I was a researcher, I was an academic, I was a woman of science, and that's not who I am today. Today I'm a much more spiritual person than I ever was. Spirituality has become really, really important in my life. And when I say spirituality, I don't mean religion, because I think there's a big difference.
And what is that difference?
I think religion is a set of it's a doctrine. It's a set of rules. It's principles and values. Really, it's values that you live by. Okay, and who dictates those is the religion. So if you're Buddhist, you live a certain way, and you do things a certain way. And if you're a Christian, you do things a certain way. If you're Catholic, you do things a certain way. If you're a Muslim, if you're a Hindu. So I'm not quite as I guess if I had to say what I am, I might say I'm a Hindu, because I've studied world religions, and what I've finally come to be most comfortable with, I guess, in terms of a religious system is Hinduism. But I just meditate. I just call myself a meditator. And I believe this is what I believe about spirituality, is that all roads lead to the same place. We might call the supreme power, our higher power, God, we might call it by different names, but to me, after studying world religions, I believe that it all leads to the same place, and that is God, whatever you want to call it.
Right. All right, once again, we're here with Nina Bingham. She's a life coach, author of several books, including her latest, which she co-wrote with 21 women, I Bared My Chest. She's an hypnotherapist, a psychologist, a counselor, a life coach. I said it earlier. You can find her at ninabingham.blogspot.ca. And by the way, guys, right before continuing this conversation, if you have a passion, something that fuels your curiosity. Well, on top of getting fascinating interviews such as this one straight to your inbox, when you subscribe to our free Creative Magic community, you will get super cool exclusive gifts in return, such as the ebook, Happiness Quotes by the Ambassador of Happiness herself, Maura Sweeney, one of our hosts, and also an exclusive conversation with two of my favorite people, Alex Okoroji and the blind blogger Maxwell Ivy, another one of our hosts, as we talk about the influence of friends and college education on our lives, the competitiveness in a crowded field, the importance of business and financial education in arts and entrepreneurship, and more. And also, Alex has a special gift for you inside a book. That's right. I promise you will get inspired and entertained. Subscribe for free at frederickby.com. That's Frederick with a C, by like bye-bye.com. Okay, Nina, let me ask you this. You talk about, spirituality and, obviously we're not the same type of society that, let's say, India is, or, our structure, our protocol, is gone. You know what I mean? Like our values, the old school values, they're kind of imploded, right? Now, here's what I'm feeling, and I was talking about this with somebody I know recently, and I'd like to talk about that with you a little bit. It seems to me that nobody, male and females, don't know who they are anymore. Like, there's no ground. Who are you as a woman? Like, this is what I'm. I'm a guy. I'm looking from the outside. It seems that a lot of women just don't know. I'm not the housewife. But I'm the entrepreneurial one, but there's kind of this, and same thing with men. Men, it's almost like oftentimes, and I hear that a lot from women, is they don't know how to be men anymore. How do you reconcile that? How do people find themselves again? How do they live? Like, how do they conduct themselves? And especially in the dating life, it's crazy dating life right now. It's just nuts.
No, I wouldn't want to be doing it anymore. No, it's tough. It really is. Yeah, and it's tough. And the older you get, the tougher it is, I think, because, you sort of get set in your ways and as you're older what you're looking for, and then it becomes harder and harder to find it. I mean, I remember dating, I've been with my partner for 5 years now, but I remember dating. It was just a horrifying experience because it was like looking for a needle in a haystack. I knew exactly what I wanted as an older person, and it was finding it was really hard.
Mm-hmm. And okay, and career-wise too, and I think you touch on it in your book, I Bared My Chest. Women and careers. It seems that there's this a little. At the same time, there's this frustration, I think there's still a ceiling for women. It seems. In companies, in the corporate world. But at the same time, I think women are revolting. And again, I don't think they know, it's like, I don't think they know who they are almost too, as a professional person. It must be tough to be a woman nowadays, it seems.
Well, yeah, it's tough to be a human being.
Yeah, human being. For guys too. Yeah.
There's just so much conflict, And I think that, I think our human values, I hear this from different political parties, but I think our values as human beings is threatened, and it's tough to be a man and it's tough to be a woman. And so that's why I'm really excited about this new book, because it's like this roadmap. You're talking about feeling lost. I mean, if I could read between the lines, that's what I hear you say. Is a lot of people are feeling lost right now in all of this.
Yeah.
And I Bared My Chest is like this roadmap for women, and really anybody who reads it. It's 21 different roadmaps through defeat, that can help you lead to triumph. And I think the readers really got to say about this book, when they read my chapter or other chapters, if Nina can make a comeback, then I can make a comeback. This book is 21 ways that women defy their fears and embrace their future. And there's so many different ethnicities and sexual orientations and religious beliefs. And some women live in the U.S. and others are in Canada and others are in Africa and other countries, India. But what amazed me about this book is that all of us, despite our ethnic and religious and lifestyle differences, all of us can agree on at least one thing, and that's our commonality, our common thread is this belief that women can overcome opposition if they'll believe in themselves and the power of their dreams. And again, I think this is a very powerful message to women right now, and I think it's a very needed message right now. It's very timely.
Yeah, you're right. And, okay, now I hear you, but I can hear men also say, yeah, but it's like almost sounds sometimes that women want to take over. But I don't think that's the case. What do you think?
Right.
Do you think they want to take over, or they just want equality? Because it's perceived that way.
That's a great question. I love this question, Frank, because I think it's really honest. I love it. I don't think women are asking to take over. I think they're just wanting equality. I think they just want a voice, and they don't. And I think worldwide, if you look at who's being abused, it's not men, it's women and children. So I think they're asking for less abuse and more of a voice. I don't think that means taking over. I just think they're asking for equality. Another reason that I was really excited to get involved is that this book has a goal of donating up to $1 million from the sales of this book to charity, which benefits women and children in need. And so, one of the 21 women founded an orphanage and is a single mom in Africa, who's the CEO of an orphanage and a school to educate women, Vanessa. And, I looked at her Facebook pictures from Vanessa's organization, and I saw there all the children that she's feeding with very little sponsorship or help from big corporations. Vanessa's raising money to feed and clothe these children. And when I saw that, Fred, how big her vision is and how, Mother Teresa-like she is, and what a heart she has for these kids, I just broke down and wept. I didn't cry a little, I cried a lot. And I cried because I realized how material blessed we are here in the United States. You guys in Canada are blessed, and how we have the option of earning a college degree here in the United States, even if we come from poor families. And just seeing the need in Africa has really moved me very deeply. So I don't think that really women are asking for too much. I think they're just asking for a voice. That's it, just a voice.
In the book, as you mentioned, there are a lot of cultures. African, India. I saw India, obviously America. What are the differences that you saw? In the mentality, and what are some of the? I mean, you talk about a common thread. Okay, they all want a voice, but are there any similarities between you and the women? Like, what are the differences, and what did you learn, basically? What did you learn from that experience?
Well, I think I've learned that worldwide, so this is sort of a global book. It's not just a book, of women in the United States or women from Canada. It's a book for women all over the world. And what I'm hearing from this book, from the 21 co-authors, is that they believe, that women can do great things. They also are stating the challenges that they've had to overcome in terms of discrimination, just because they're a woman, or discrimination because they're a person of color. Not discrimination, but abuse because they were children. So some of these authors are talking about the childhood abuse they went through, either physically or sexually. And, they're really paint a picture of the society that they're living in. And we have a lot of authors from Africa, and we have a lot of authors from the U.S. And to see those two countries, in a lot of ways, they're different. Economically, they're very different. I think economically, Africa is a much more needy country and still developing financially, economically. And in terms of human rights, I think, Africa has come a long way, but I think that there's still a road ahead of them in terms of, female rights, certainly in terms of reproductive rights and, getting rid of feminine genital mutilation and things like this. But more than that, Fred, more than the differences, what I saw were similarities. And the similarities were really about overcoming our own perception of being small, okay, or being told we're small, or being told we're unpowerful, or being told that we're ineffective just because we're women or just because we're people of color. And overcoming the abuses, or overcoming the mental health issues. That's my story, because I've had to overcome my own depression. This is depression that came genetically through my family and then, was passed on to my daughter. So these are all tales of women who, decided to make a comeback. But what's interesting is that we've all had these life circumstances thrown at us, and we had to make a decision. We had to decide this is either going to sink our ship or we're going to start swimming.
Mm. Yeah. All right. Once again, we're here with Nina Bingham. She's a life coach. She's the author of several books, including her latest, which she co-wrote with 21 other women. Title is "I Bared My Chest." Go pick it up. She's a hypnotherapist, a psychologist, a counselor. You can find her at ninabingham.blogspot.ca. That's Bingham is Bingham. And also, right before continuing this conversation, guys, if you are an Amazon shopper, when you use our Amazon links at frederickbuy.com, Amazon kicks back a few bucks to the show and helps cover production costs at no additional cost to you. No hidden fees, no BS, no nothing. So if you like what you hear, you can help by going over to frederickbuy.com, Frederick with a C, buy like bye-bye.com, and click the Amazon link in the sidebar for all your online shopping. It is really that simple, and bookmark it to find it easier. All right, you talk about that women in this book talk about the discrimination, and what's your story of discrimination?
Well, the only story I guess I have, I'm a woman, and so I think professionally women might have to fight a little harder to, be heard, and, over sort of man speak, corporately, it's, to sort of get in leadership positions. I think women have to just, really prove themselves. That's where men maybe not so much. So I think women have to work a little harder still today. We make less on the dollar. We get paid less for the same jobs as men do. Not a lot, but a little, and that makes a difference for us. So I think we're still, we've got some ground, to take back. I want to rewind to one thing. Oh, my discrimination. My discrimination, Fred, I'll answer your question, is the only discrimination other than being a woman, in a workplace, is that I'm gay, right? I'm a lesbian, and so I came out when I was 33. I'm 52 now, so I've been out a long time, and I'm really proud of it. I mean, it took a long time for me to come out,
Wow, at 33?
I knew when I was 18. Yeah, and I knew when I was 18.
Wow.
So it took a long time for me to admit that.
Mm-hmm.
But at any rate, I think that for me has been the most challenging aspect for me of life, really, is just coming to a place where I could tell the truth to myself about who I was sexually, and then telling the truth to my family, who I was raised in a conservative Christian home. My stepdad is a pastor, and my mom went to Bible college, very, very conservative, right-wing Christian. So that was very difficult. And what I think is funny is I kind of see it, as ironic that oftentimes conservative people who are conservative-minded will often be paired with children who are liberally minded, and so you get these two dynamics, and they have to duke it out, and they have to try to make peace, and some do and some don't.
Do you think
it's funny that life kind of?
Do you think that's due to kind of like the universe sending them a personal growth tool?
I do. I believe that.
Yeah.
I think that's true. I think that's true because I've seen it so much. I think that's just because it makes us grow, right? Mm-hmm. Adversity makes us grow, whether we like it or not. So yeah, sometimes I think that's true.
Mm. You talk about, how did your entourage reacted? Because to hold that kind of secret, that must be heavy. That must really be heavy. And how did they react? How did your entourage react, especially your parents? I'm pretty sure the anxiety came from your parents first. you know, how did they react, and how did you overcome it?
Right. Well, the first thing I did is I came out to people first who I knew would probably be supportive. And so I came out to my brother and sister first. And my sister just fell off her chair laughing because I had always been the good girl of the family. You know, I had been a Christian. I, you know, spent my life in the front pew of the church. And, you know, and so when I came out with this revelation, I mean, she just thought it was hilarious because, you know, she had always sort of seen herself as the black sheep of the family because she wasn't a Christian. And so she just thought it was great. You know, she was like, this is awesome. Really? And then, and then so she was very, very supportive. And then my brother was very supportive as well, but he was like, well, no kidding. It's like, I knew that. Yeah, I get that a long time ago. I just wait for you to figure it out. So I came out to people, you know, who were supportive, my friends at first. And then, you know, it took a while to get up the courage after I told them. And I figured, okay, the story's going to travel pretty quick to my parents. So I've got to, you know, to tell them. And I called them for a meeting, and I sat down with them. And, you know, I told them I love you guys very much. And this is not a reflection of you. You know, you need to understand what I'm going to tell you. It's not a reflection of you in any way. It's just a personal decision, and I want you to know. I want you to hear it from me. Mm-hmm. And I told them, and, you know, my mom cried. She got up and left the room.
Wow.
My dad just, you know, my stepdad, who I consider my father's passed away. My stepdad, who's the pastor, he just said, you know, you already know what we think about this. And he said, you know, I really can't talk to you about it right now. And I just had to leave because they really didn't want to talk to me anymore.
Wow.
And so when I left, I didn't hear from them. There was no phone call or anything, and I was just crushed. And then several weeks later, I think it was like 2 weeks later, I got letters from both of them, and I was just ripping over them because I just couldn't, you know, I was just like, please, you know, what are you guys thinking here? And you know, the letters were really hard. They were, you know, my mom saying basically, what did I do wrong? You know, where did I go wrong? I didn't raise you like this. And, you know, my stepdad, it was 6 pages of Bible verses, you know, about what he thought I was going to go to hell and stuff like that.
Wow.
So it was really tough. And you know, for 2 years after that, pretty much they didn't speak to me. And today, you know, we don't talk because they don't want to have much to do with me.
Wow. Oof.
So that was very difficult. Yeah. You know, and there are people who, people my age, you know, who came out, who I've heard the story a lot from them, is that they were sort of, you know, abandoned by their parents if they were religious people. Mm-hmm. And then, you know, I think what's really cool is that the younger generation, you know, the millennials, they don't tell the same story. You know, they tell stories of parents who are a little more understanding and a little less, you know, by the law. Mm-hmm. So I'm really happy for them. But, you know, I kind of see myself at this age of 52 as having paved the road for those kids, you know. I mean, I'm glad they're having those better, more healthy, more supportive experiences, but in a way, I kind of feel like, you know, one of the Stonewall gals, you know. It's like, man, I went through hell and high water here, and I'm glad you guys don't have to do it.
Yeah. Okay, then, you know, your parents obviously came from another era. Well, at that time, you know, being gay was not, it was a sin, I guess. Now, did you have to forgive them? Did you have to make peace with that? You know, the fact they don't speak to you anymore, because it can happen to other people too who are listening right now. So, did you forgive them?
I did, and I just left the door open with them and said, you know, you guys, I know we have a difference of opinion, and this is where my mom and I are at. It's like, you know, we have a difference of opinion, and we're never going to see this the same way. But I care about you. I love you. You know, and so there's just a standing open, you know, open invitation. If you guys decide that you ever want to get involved in my life, you know, I'm here. I love you. The door's open. So I think you have to, you know, I wouldn't necessarily close the door on people. I think you have to keep the door open. But at the same time, you know, if they're not going to be respectful of you as a person, if they can't respect you, if they're going to run you down and make you feel bad about yourself, that's the point at which you just maybe, you know, there are some people who need to close the door. And so I'm not... I don't stand in judgment of anybody who decides to close the door on somebody. If you need to do that because, for your own mental health, then sometimes that's the right thing to do. But I just want to keep the door open for my parents in case they ever decide that, they're going to be supportive.
Yeah. I'm curious. In the book I Bear in My Chest, so many cultures, and obviously there are cultures that some of your colleagues, co-writers, they come from cultures who are not, who don't tolerate gays. Did you have any encounter with that?
With the co-authors, you mean?
Yeah.
Oh, no, everybody's been really supportive. The 21 women have all supported one another. I think it was sort of stated by Alex, the authors Alex and Frankie, that we need to keep it positive. And so even if we have difference of opinion on lifestyles or we have difference of opinion on our religion, whatever our difference of opinion is, it needs to be kept respectful because we're all contributing something to this book. And so it's been an extremely positive experience for me. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. We'll get a few minutes left. Okay. You said that your book, Once the Storm is Over, was the book that you were meant to write. Why did you say that?
I always, like I told you in fourth grade, I fell in love with writing. And I think from that time on, I always, you know how you visualize in your head and you see yourself as a kid doing things? And those pictures, those visualizations that stick with you, interestingly enough, are the things that tend to materialize later on. And the one picture I had of myself is writing books. I mean, I always knew I would do that, which is kind of weird. Again, makes me think that I came into the world sort of, as a scribe, like that was sort of something that I was meant to do. So I always knew I would write an important book. And I just didn't know that the important book would be about such a devastating subject. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I always knew I would write books.
Mm-hmm. All right. How do you, the life of a life coach, of an entrepreneur or artist in general, it's a life of uncertainty. You don't know where your next paycheck is going to come from. Even the spiritual life, the creative life, it's you step into uncertainty. And oftentimes you change careers, you do this, you go left, go right. And then how do you remain calm in uncertainty? How do you deal with uncertainty? If I was going to come to you, I'm a client and look, I know what my career should be. But I'm afraid, lack of money. I'm afraid of failure. I'm afraid of, what would you tell that person?
Yeah, that's a great question. So being an entrepreneur, as you're aware of, is a roller coaster. So some months you're going to have excess money and other months you're not going to have enough to pay your bills, or it feels like that. And so it's a faith walk. It's taking a leap of faith when you become an entrepreneur or when you become a professional author and you no longer have somebody signing a paycheck for you. The number one suggestion I would make to anybody who decides to be a full-time writer or an entrepreneur, if you want to follow your dreams, that's fantastic. But I think it takes two things. It takes good advanced planning. So you need to have a business plan and you need to work that plan. So be really clear about, Stephen Covey said in his book, The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. He said, begin with the end in mind. So you have to have a clear vision. If you don't have a clear vision, it's like flying a plane and not knowing where you're going to land. You have to have a map. And so I would say, number one is get a really vibrant business. And if you don't know how to do that, then find somebody who does. And then secondly, I would say get enough support. That's really key. You can do anything if you have enough support. You don't have to have all the money that you need for your venture. You just have to sell your venture to somebody that has the money. And so financially, maybe you're going to need to get enough support, before you take this leap of faith. Or just morally, you're going to need to have a cheering section for yourself. But anytime you're stepping out in a big way, I would say you want to have a plan, you want to have enough support.
Mm-hmm. What inspires you to create? Nature, animals, meditation?
Mm-hmm. Well, right now it's meditation.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm spending an inordinately amount of time meditating right now. And from that, I think I think meditation gets you in connection with that spiritual part of you, that creative part of you, what psychology calls the right brain, okay, that creative brain, that's uninhibited, that's positive, that believes you can do it. I think it gets you connected with what I would call your higher self, okay? Some people call it God. Or it gets you connected with your inspiration. So right now for me it's meditation. A lot of times I think in the past if I wasn't meditating, just writing. I do a lot of journaling, and journaling for me has been really cathartic. And it's, the more I write, the more I get insight into myself, and then creative ideas flow out of that insight. So for me, I think a combination of meditation and writing, even music lately. I've been really doing some exercise every day lately while I lose some more weight, and I've been exercising and just really listening to a lot of different kinds of music, and that has been giving me inspiration.
Mm-hmm. You talk about taking leaps of faith. Oftentimes that means that you have to knock on doors. A lot of doors will close on you. A lot of people, rejection is, it's a little bit like dating. It's very hard. What would you tell these people? And how do you deal with rejection?
Well, whether you're dating or whether you're, taking a leap of faith and starting a new business or becoming a full-time author, full-time whatever dream is, you're going to have enough self-esteem. Your self-esteem is going to have to be high enough that you can withstand rejection, because rejection is just part of life. And I think that's the hardest thing when you start out in any kind of venture that you're creating, is finding out that not everybody is going to get on board. Not everybody's going to see it the way you see it, and you're going to have to sell yourself. But you can't sell yourself unless your self-esteem is pretty high. So you've got to find ways to stay inspired. And I think if you stay inspired, then your self-esteem tends to be pretty clear and pretty strong, and it's easier to sell yourself. So anything that pumps up your self-esteem, do it.
Yeah. So we're going to go into our last segment. Okay, if you were stuck on an island, no one else, $500 in your pocket, a laptop, what would you do in the next 7 days?
With $700?
$500.
$500? Gee, you went from 7 to 5? Okay. Okay, so with $500, I'm on an island by myself, and I've got my laptop. Does it have a signal?
If you have, I'm sorry.
Am I able to connect?
Yeah. You have a you have internet connection.
Okay, so I don't use it as a frisbee or something. Okay. Gee, what would I do? I think I would be first worried about food because food's really important, and keeping warm. Shelter. I mean, I think that's really important. There's not much you can do with $500 on an island. Right. It's interesting because on an island, money doesn't mean that much. What really means that much, I think, at that point, that's an interesting question, is, you know what's funny, Nina? Police system.
Yeah, but you know what's funny, Nina? I used to be in the insurance business, and we used to sell mutual funds, stuff like that. So we talked a lot about money, and I realized something. The perception of money for men and women is so different. For example, if a guy doesn't have money, he won't admit, he won't show it. He won't, it's like the ultimate thing, unmanly thing you can do, right? He's going to shut his mouth. Women is like they will, how much they make, how much they don't have. It's like, you know what I mean?
Right. Well, it's a double standard there. Yes, I do. And, it's kind of unfair to the guys, to tell you the truth. Our society is super hard on men. I mean, it's hard on women, but I think we're worse on men, to tell you the truth.
Why?
Oh, gosh. We have such high expectations of men. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. Mm-hmm. It's like men have to be, they can't just be a guy. They have to be Superman. You know, I mean, look at the way Hollywood portrays men. You know, and look who we lift up in Hollywood. It's these guys who look perfect, you know, the millionaires and stuff. It's just, we set such a high bar for men that they're just like feeling like failures because the bar is so super crazy high. I think our society, and we expect them to be tough but tender, you know. Oh, women like a man that's tender, but you got to be tough, like you said. You know, don't ever tell them you can't pay for dinner. God forbid. Like,
okay, but honestly,
it's
no.
Crazy.
Honestly, if you were on a date with a guy who says he can't pay for dinner, you would date him the next day for sure. You know, and
absolutely. That wouldn't be an issue for me. Yeah, no, it really wouldn't. And for some women, it is, right?
I was saying because I was saying that you would not go on a date with him, but you say you would.
Oh no, I would for sure. Who cares about that? I don't care who pays for it. I really don't. I don't care. You know what I care about? I care about, is he honest? I care about, is he a good guy? Like, does he have a good heart? Yeah. And I think any woman who's not a gold digger, that's really what she cares about. You know, she's less concerned because she's probably got a job. She's less concerned about who's going to pay the bill. What she's really concerned is this a good guy, like, inside?
Yeah.
You know, unless she's a gold digger, and there's some of those too.
Yeah. Well, you know, I would wish that many women would think like you, you know, but yeah, I can tell, like, as a guy, and I think you are absolutely on point. A lot of guys feel like failures. If they're not at a certain level, in their lives, they feel like failures. And I think a lot of guys, you know, and that's another difference between men and women is that women, you will express your emotions. Guys don't do that. We don't do that. When we feel ashamed or humiliated, we go silent, or we don't admit it. Like, we don't share it. And I think that kills a lot of men's spirit, creativity, self-esteem. You know? Oh yeah.
I do know because you know, I said earlier that I counsel a lot of couples, and what I see predominantly is men with their wives, when they come in, they're one way. But when I see those guys by themselves and they're talking about, you know, their relationship with their wives and how they feel about themselves and their careers and stuff, it's almost like a different guy. Because they can open up with me. They don't have to be anything in front of their wife. They don't have to be the strong protector. They can just be themselves, you know, when they go into the counseling office. And it's just like a letdown. You know, they're just like so happy to be able to tell the truth.
Yeah. Oh yeah. You're right on point. That's very true. Look, listen, I could talk to you for so long. So, Nina, where can we find you and where can we buy the book?
Yeah. Okay. So, you can go to our website. It's www.ibaredmychest.com. And you can pre-order the book right now. But then we're going to have, like, I think a big, book party coming up pretty quickly, and people will see on my Facebook if they want to go to my Facebook page. Just look for me. It's Nina Bingham. You can join my Facebook page if you hear this and be part of that party. Or you can go to Twitter if you want to support this cause. And you go to # I Bared My Chest, and you'll find us there.
Mm-hmm. Awesome. Well, that's it for today, Nina. Thank you so much for this interview, inspiring, enlightening, and good luck with your book. I'm sure you guys are gonna. I think this should be a success. I really hope that for you guys, honestly. So I like most people who are. I like the people who are on it. I don't know everybody, but I know a few of them, a few of you guys. So I really wish you guys the best, really.
Thank you, Frederick. Thank you. And I hope guys will pick up this book, too, because I don't think it's just about women. I think this would be a fabulous book for guys to read, because I think there's a lot of insight.
Yeah, I'm sorry, you broke it. I'm sorry, you broke a little bit. You said that the books, that guys can read that book, too?
Yeah, I hope guys pick this book up, too. And if they like it, to recommend it, because I think there's a ton to learn about women in this book, but I also think that there's a ton of compassion for men in this book. So I hope they'll consider reading it as well. Thanks, Fred. Thanks so much.
Well, thank you, Nina. Have a great day. I'm going to let you go, and much success to you. We'll keep in touch, I'm pretty sure.
Thank you.
Alrighty. Thank you again, Nina. Thank you again for this amazing interview. What a wonderful lady. I got to know her a little bit. That was pretty cool. I didn't know she was a lesbian. I didn't know that she was a quiet woman. I didn't know all of that stuff. So it's pretty cool. It's pretty cool to hear. So yeah, I want to thank her. And by the way, guys, when you shop from our Amazon links at frederickby.com, Amazon kicks back a few bucks to the show. It helps cover production costs. No additional cost to you. No hidden fees. No nothing. You can go to frederickby.com and click the Amazon links in the sidebar. We have it for the USA, Canada, France, the UK. That's it. I mean, we're it. We got. If you live in these areas, you have no excuse. Also, would like to thank everybody who pledged to our Patreon page. We updated our Patreon page. I think we're going to be a little bit more active on it. I think will help us. And for those of you who pledged, I know you are really helpful to the show, and we are grateful for your help. In case you're wondering, guys, Patreon is a simple way for you to contribute to the network every single month and get super cool exclusive rewards in return. I promise you will love the perks. Our Patreon page is at frederickby.com. Click Patreon in the header. The money is used to cover our production costs and enhancements. It's also used to cover our editing time and sharing to different podcast channels. You can contribute for as low as $1, one tiny dollar. So that's basically it. The Creative Magic store is open and well. T-shirts, mugs, DVDs, recommended reading. It's all there. All of it is there. Also, guys, the network is looking for new hosts. If you are somebody who's interested in podcasting, if you're on a mission, if you have a message, if you have passion, if you are positively oriented, we're all about positivity. We're all about growing. This network is about personal growth. It's about personal, spiritual, professional, financial growth. Okay? We all want to grow. We all want to be bigger. It's not as scandalous. It's not about sex and No, it's about growth and entertainment and education. If you have a passion, guys, go to frederickby.com, Frederick with a C, by.com. This network is expanding. It is growing, and we're excited. Basically, right now we're on Spreaker. We're going to be on iHeartRadio real soon. Our goal is really to build this radio station, to call it a Creative Magic radio station. That's our end goal, and we can't do it without you. So join our team. Check us out. Just check us out. Tell us what you think. Tell us what you might have to offer. The network is still in its infancy. So we understand that, our rates, it justifies our rates. So it's pretty darn cool, guys. Pretty darn cool. This podcast is free every time you download it on iTunes or Stitcher. Please go over there. Subscribe. It is listener supported. So tell a friend. Leave a 5-star review. We need reviews. And with this, stay safe, guys. Stay safe. It's very important. Stay safe. Live with purpose, passion, fire, and love. Bye-bye.